All right, good people. So we need to talk 23 is back again. I'm your host, Ringold, and joining me tonight for a special episode on mental health is JR from West Virginia, Uncommon Place, and Jay from the Cognac Room. How you gentlemen doing this evening?
Doing well, doing well.
Doing pretty good, barring the weather.
You ready for the second round of snow?
Yes, I am. I've been eager for this. I feel bad for Jay because he out there, he on the coastline almost. I mean, Charlotte ain't that far out there. It's hard to put your business out there like that. But the snow, it's gonna touch you sometime, but it's just not gonna. You ain't gonna get a heavy amount.
No, we rarely do. We rarely do.
But the snow that they get is significant to North Carolina. I'm from Jersey, so when they say snow, I know what real snow is compared to DC, Maryland, and Virginia going south. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you a bad thing about where I'm at is like I got that stuff coming off Erie Lake, and then I got that the Indiana snow and the Kentucky snow. I get three different types of snows that pass through me like a filter, and the mountains take some of that shit away from people,
Mm.
and then the rest of it hits y'all. Or if you're in Maryland, you're lucky because every time something comes through from Cleveland and down, it's gonna smack West Virginia, and you barely see anything.
luckily, we don't get it too bad here. What we got the other day was a shock. I was out of town. We got home right before it started snowing. So, yeah. But but just to jump in, I do have something that I want to start in terms of mental health. So I know we are getting more things that are trickling out now, but I'll ask you all. So when you saw the Antonio Brown situation, since we are speaking of on mental health tonight, what was your initial reaction when you heard or saw, what was coming down? I'm not talking about what we know today from, the statement that he put out today and things, but when you saw it on Sunday, what was your take on it?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I really had a serious take on it just because it's it's typical for him, basically. You know what I mean? Um, I think a lot of people just felt like, you know, he's being ungrateful. He's being, a prima donna or whatever. Um, I think that I mostly looked at that situation and I said, here is a man that really doesn't fucking care.
Very true.
So I didn't, in my personal opinion, I didn't at that time attribute any of his behaviors to a mental health issue.
Mhm.
But I'm one person, I will say this, just as a disclaimer, I'm very slow to throw that label around.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm gonna say this real quick. I didn't think mental health. I was thinking CTE. What type of hits had this man taken in the past? What was going on with his mind? And then that CTE and all that concussion stuff goes back to your mental.
Mhm.
So when I seen the display, I was like, this dude's went off his rocker. I was like, he does a lot of absurd things. Like everything can be going good in his life, and then he'll go out here and commit a random crime, or he'll make a new rap song, and everything just goes downhill from there. So my take on it was like, I was like, it's a mental health thing, but I said maybe it may not be mental health. Maybe it's something to do with a head injury. Something is going on inside there does not function in the way we would do. Because if we had contract guaranteed money and we knew we was going to probably sit on another Super Bowl ring, I would probably be on my P's and Q's, even if I didn't like what was going on.
Yeah, because I did a show the other day called Sports Talk, and that was, the main topic was talking about Antonio Brown. And something that one of the guests brought up was, how Antonio Brown really hasn't been the same since that perfect hit when he was with Pittsburgh, when Antonio Brown was with Pittsburgh when they played Cincinnati. And I said, if you stop and think about it, that may be true. Not a doctor, psychologist, anything like that. But I said, if you think about it, that is sort of when he started to change, or when we as the public got this new Antonio Brown. So as far as the CTE thing goes, you know, I would like to lean on it, but like I said, I'm no expert in the area.
Yeah, me either, but it's just kind of like, when he was with the Steelers, he did get rocked really hard.
Mhm.
I'm talking about because he was really playing in his prime. That was when he was in his prime. I don't know what he's doing nowadays. I ain't gonna disrespect that man, but I want to say he was in his prime then. And like after that, just to display how he went off the field, the later antics that they tried to talk up. And if we can clarify something, he hasn't been released yet, has he?
I I saw some reports that say he was released, and then I saw
Yeah,
another one saying that he hasn't been released. So I don't know which side is true and which isn't.
yeah, yeah. That's up in the air still, I think.
All right, so one of them deals, I think that they're going to kind of do some type of cosmetic work with it and fix his situation. Like I think he's gonna end up staying on that team, but they're gonna have to get him some help because they're not gonna just let this slide. And if he refuses to help, then that'll just seal the deal. He's gone, no more NFL career. He can go make rap records and try to holler at Asia Doll.
There is a part of me that believes he doesn't want to play anymore.
That I took the same approach when I saw him, because just the way that he snatched off the shoulder pads and things on the sideline and then started throwing stuff into the cloud. I mean, he was waving goodbye, and you just looked at it and go, sort of what you were talking about, Jr. He just said, "Fuck the money, fuck this Super Bowl. I have one," and I think he was just comfortable in his skin and where he's at, the way he ran off the field.
He was actually happy. I don't know if you saw the footage with the Uber driver and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
It was almost like he was relieved, and he's just like, "Hey, let's go live a little bit. Let me go live some life a little bit." I don't know what disciplines these guys are really under. Like, I don't know it from an experiential perspective, but I mean, he just seemed relieved to be done with that shit. And I know what that feels like. I've been there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like I said, it may not make sense to others, but to us, like you said, that just to have that off your shoulders, like, I haven't felt, he probably hasn't felt that good about something, walking away from it since maybe high school. You know what I mean? Like,
Freedom.
yeah,
Freedom.
between the hits and the schedule of training and practice and everything, like I said, that freedom is something that no amount of money can truly give him.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
All right. So let's jump into some of the questions here. Um, have either of you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly? Examples may include being the victim of armed assault, with witnessing a tragedy happen to someone else, surviving a sexual assault, or living through a natural disaster.
That's a deep one. You got that? You got that first, Jay, or do you want me to get it?
I can get it, man. I
Go
have
ahead.
I think I have a very qualifying one. My oldest child committed suicide at the age of 24 years old.
Sorry.
And it was unexpected, and it's probably the most traumatic thing I've ever dealt with in my life. So yes, I'm still dealing with, because this was only maybe 3 years ago. So it's still very fresh, very new. And I've come to the realization that it never gets better. You just learn how to live with it.
Very, very true. And I'll let you go, Jr. Before I chime in. But,
All right, and I can say on this, everybody knows one of my experiences. I did lose my wife in 2019 to gastric bypass surgery. Like that was something that kind of like it ripped my soul away. It kind of made me hardened, and it made me a little different than what you would have seen when I was doing my podcast in 2018. And then the other things, I lost my dad. We lose a lot of people. Like a serious traumatic event like being robbed or something like that. Nah, I ain't been robbed or nothing. If someone ran up on me, I would try to, defend myself. But like a death, I can say the death is the thing that kind of moved me and messed my psyche up. It made me become two different people.
Mhm.
And I never thought that I would be two different people. There's a JR that is a very closeted person. Lead a very private life now because of that. Like I used to be on Instagram. You would see me on pictures everywhere. I don't stunt like that. I might show a little food here and there where I'm eating at, but that type of lifestyle that I had, I kind of closed that off. And then you got this other one that's the podcaster, and podcaster. I always celebrate. It is an augmented reality. You see different things. You still see the authentic me, but you see what I want you to see.
Mhm.
You don't see the pain, that has struggle and the struggle that's in that pain. So you don't never see that portion. You see the good portions. You don't see the rejection, the things that, that type of stuff. That's the thing that people don't get to see. And if some people do get to see and they witness it, then they're like, man, this dude got a lot on his plate, just like we all got a lot on our plate. So go ahead, chime in, definitely.
Nah, and I'll say for me, I think I check all of those boxes except for the sexual assault.
Right.
I've had different things, but I would say the first major thing that I had in my life was when I lost my brother, my younger brother. He was 16. He passed from cancer. He had a brain tumor, and he passed. And similar to what Jay was saying, is like, my brother passed away in '99, so we're talking 20 plus years later. And like you said, the pain, that feeling never goes away, because you'll hear and you'll see people say, oh, it gets easier. No, it doesn't. We learn how to mask that pain, and we just learn to live with it. It's a part of us. And we just learn to move forward. Because for me, there's times when I'll cry. I'll sit down, I'll be watching, and I could share this with y'all since I don't mind being transparent. But like right after my brother died, I want to say a year or two later, I remember watching The Lion King, and for whatever reason, that shit broke me down. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And I just start crying, and it's little things like that now where I could hear a song or something just brings that memory back. And before my brother passed, I was a total asshole when it came to emotion. I wouldn't show any emotion. Now I'm a little bit better with it, and that comes from having three sons since my brother's passed, and my wife working with me, because I was still terrible with hiding it, not wanting to seem weak because of the way we grew up. You know, I remember growing up, I would get my ass whooped for crying. Men don't cry. I'm background in West Indian, so in the West Indian culture and stuff, men don't cry, men don't show emotion. So for me, it was, all right, I got to hold this in. But now it's just like, fuck it, I need to release this, because holding it in makes you a ticking time bomb, and 9 times out of 10, you're gonna end up going off on the wrong person. So to what you said, Jay, yeah, we just learn how to mask the shit. It it doesn't get better. We cope and we deal with it. We make it a part of us.
And I'll add this in there real quick. I think the hardest thing too with dealing with them deaths and stuff like that is the triggers, because in life, ain't much age difference between us, but I was not taught about triggering activity. I wasn't taught that this is going to trigger you to feel this way, or to feel or react to something this way. So up until I'm 36 now, up until my mid 20s, I didn't realize that certain things just trigger me and got me into certain spots mentally. Like for instance, with her dying, like I can't go to Indianapolis because we spend a lot of time in Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, and Columbus. Even though I have to work in those areas, I have stayed clear of Indianapolis because we did so much there. And in every street corner, every place, Butler University, wherever I know what we did there, what happened. And for me as a person, it just like stops my world. Like the last time I was there in April, I just had to stop and leave. I had to call my assistant, had him come out there and do the job, because I didn't think that something would block me like that. Because I mean, I travel everywhere and I'm pretty much like a USB cord. I hook up anywhere with anybody and anything I got to do, and nothing freezes me. But something about being in that city at the Pacers game, I just froze. And I realized I got to get up out of here. And as a man, we not taught to 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 deal with that type of anguish. We're just told to just be tough, don't worry about it.
Mhm.
And this was one instance. I was in the stadium alone watching this sorry ass team play. Sorry about that. But and it just something triggered. We was there a year ago. I was a year ago with her there, and we were enjoying a basketball game, blah 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 blah. And you know, it's just weird that triggered that. Eating a piece of pizza at the little pizza joint on the corner triggered that stuff. So I just hopped in my car. I drove 4 hours straight back home. Didn't think anything of it. Went to work the next day in West Virginia, but it was just like, how was I gonna let something like that stop me? Something triggered that I didn't have a way to counteract or react to it. It was just I got to get away from it. And that's one of the hardest mental health issues, because sometimes you can't walk away from things like that. I had the luxury to do that, but a lot of times in life you got to face that head on. And even to right now, I'm not going back to Indianapolis if I don't have to. I'll go to Fort Wayne or something. I'll go around, you know.
So, Jay, do you have anything else before I ask this next question?
Uh, nah, man, not really. I will say this, like when you talk about triggers, I believe, and don't ask me how, man. Like I truly believe, and I know that a lot of people believe that they're gifted and they're special in different ways, and most of us are.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I just feel like my gift and my way of being special has always been more so tied to my emotions and my ability to see things, almost like see things from the inside out, so to speak, or to see things in a manner that other people can't see them. Like I feel like I'm gifted in that way. Like I can see to the root of a problem. Like there could be chaos going on and everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And I automatically know this is why this is happening.
Mhm.
It's just a gift. Okay. Um, and it works most of the time. Didn't work with me and my child or that situation. And that's how usually it goes. You know what I mean? You can be the most gifted and give the greatest advice and your house tore the fuck up. You know what I mean? That's just reality, man. But because of that gift, I feel like I understood triggers before I knew how to explain them or heard what they were. I understood that because I remember giving an analogy as a very young man that if someone did something to you and they breathed a certain way and they smelled a certain way, hearing that breathing pattern and smelling those scents could potentially drive you over, remind you of what you were going through and drive you, over the top. I remember saying this stuff like as like damn near a grade school kid, bro. Like seriously.
Mhm.
Don't know where the hell I got it from.
Old soul.
You know what I mean? Don't know where the hell I got it from. But I do know that because of certain things, there are times that I have to go past the site. Not the site of where this thing happened. And some days I can go by there and, it's tolerable.
Mhm.
And then there are some days that I go by there and it's very intolerable. I can't take it. I have to, pull over and get myself together. So yeah, definitely things are very, very triggering. And I understand triggers, man. And it goes back to what they used to say to people um that have addictions. They were like, you should avoid certain people, places, and things, because these will trigger certain things in you that'll cause you to relapse and use or whatever. I've never been a user of anything. I've never been to rehab for anything. But in my previous life, I did some hustling. And where I'm from, if you get caught hustling, they send you to rehab anyway. You know what I mean? So that's where I got that from. But at the end of the day, I understand what you mean when you say you have to avoid certain things because they can be triggering. And I've often, I think I don't intentionally or purposely go to these locations or to this location. But I think when I'm required to go past that location, I don't avoid it because in some twisted way, I feel like it's going to make me stronger. It's going to help me grow through this thing. It's like I don't want to avoid it,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it makes sense because it. I don't know. I liken it to when you're learning to ride a bike. You fall off the bike, you're gonna scrape your elbow, scrape your knee, but you're gonna get back up. You're gonna get on that bike. It's just sort of working your way through it, no matter how tough the situation may be. So going past it, so I totally get what you mean when you said you ride. Some days are good, some days are bad, but you don't totally avoid it. And like for each of us, it's different. Because like for me, I don't have a lot to where I can say, oh, this is, my brother passed away in the hospital. They told him he wasn't going to live 3 more years. He was 13 when we found out. He actually lived 3. They gave him 6 months. He lived 3 more years, so he made it till he was 16. So, it's just, I get around his birthday and things like that is when I get down. And I noticed that this year. I was talking to my wife and I was all good. And then the anniversary came around and my mood just went total shit.
And
And
sometimes you don't even realize why, because that happens to me around the holidays because my daughter's birthday is around December. It's December 8th.
okay.
And so I realized like the past few years, I've been kind of the Grinch
Hmm.
at the holiday season.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize why until like this year. I was like, I get it. I know why.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
My wife was like, maybe you need to go talk to somebody. And it's just like, I don't need to talk to nobody. I'm like, all right, it's only going to be a week or whatever the case is. And then I'll be fine. And that's usually what happens. But like I said, it got to a point to where I didn't want to do anything. Like, oh, we're going to go do this, this, and this. All right, you and the boys go ahead. I'll see y'all when y'all get back. I just wanted to be by myself. So, I mean, I totally get that. But I will say this sort of like you said with your ability. One thing that I picked up too is that I'm very, very calm. Like I am on here now. I'm like this all the time. Like you said, chaos could be going on around me, and I'm the one in the group that's like, all right, let's relax. We gonna get through this. But what I learned in learning that I'm the calm in the storm, I have my own storms that I'm dealing with. And the thing is, I'm taking on everybody else's shit. So then when my shit boils to the top, it's just like everybody crap that they piled on top of me. Instead of me releasing it, I hold it in also, and then everything just spews to the top. So I get that once in a blue where I'm not calm, but it's good because I get to release all of that. And thankfully, I don't. I, yeah, I know you see the bar and stuff behind me, but I'm not a heavy drinker. I drink when I do the podcast and when I'm out socially, but I don't have any real vices to where it's not like, oh, I gotta have a drink. I'm feeling this way, or I need to go smoke some weed. That's not my thing. So I mean, but it's just different things. So for you, Jr., have you noticed any I'll call it superhero, any superhero abilities that you picked up since?
Man, I'm gonna say this because I deal with a wide range of people. I was talking to these witches one time, and they was talking about empaths and other stuff. Because I had to take an approach to learn everything. I'm one of the people I want to know what everybody's thoughts are. Ain't got to be my thoughts. And I sat here and I listened to these witches. They was telling me about empaths and some extra stuff, and I was like, them some good things. The word is divinity or divine stuff. Um, all those divine notions and stuff, that's all fine and dandy for someone that has to have that in their moral set, in their morality set. But for me, nah, no superpowers and nothing like that. The only thing that I got and now it's a certain period of time. I know like in February and I know in July, like when she died and then her birthday, I got to stay to myself, get inside that bubble and just do what I got to do for me and not worry about everybody else. And then the other thing I had to do is I had to learn this valuable thing, and I learned this at about roughly 3 years ago. You got to have a memories museum of people. Some people you got to place inside your mind and let them sit back on a shelf inside your museum. And I learned, and I hate the word toxic, so I'm not going to use that, but them bad vibes and mojo you get from people and get from auras and things around you, I do follow that. If something ain't right, if it don't sit right well with me, or if it just rubs me the wrong way, I've learned now to walk away from it. Um, Coincidentally, though, I hollered at a feng shui lady, and she was telling me some things. I had her on the show for an interview, and she was just going over some things with me. And just to tell you guys, I was about to enter into a business venture with someone today, and I was rocky about it before. And this lady just she kind of and it's weird because feng shui is a Chinese metaphysics is something totally different. We can talk about that another time. But just from the way that she talked about things, I didn't enter into that agreement. And she told me not to enter into that agreement. She said, collaborate and do what you can do that way with them people, but don't bring them people into your fold. So I will say certain aspects of certain divine thought I use, but I ain't out here reading minds or this and that. If the lady scribbled some numbers on a paper and threw some dust in the air and she figured out this, and that, and I ain't say nothing to her, I kind of got to go on a limb and go with what she's saying. Cause she ain't know me from a can of paint.
That's true stuff. It's true stuff. But we all have some ability. Like I said, it's just we may not necessarily call it an ability, but it is there. We all have it in us. Some of us are, great at being an asshole. Whatever it is, it's still an ability. It just depends on how you use being that asshole in certain situations.
All right, so let me articulate it then. I got attributes that get me into certain situations that I should be in, and I have attributes that get me into situations I shouldn't get myself into.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll say that all day long.
That's your ability. So, out of the things that I mentioned before, and I'll go first to kind of give an example of what I mean. So, something else in there, like a terrible occurrence to me is, and I touched on this briefly on some other episode I did or interview. Like a terrible occurrence for me is how, speaking to a lot of things going on now with the police and all this other stuff, how you'll have a lot of people, podcasters, whoever, that say, oh, the police, the police, white police are evil, this, and that. I always go the other way with it. And I know I piss some people off, but I've always told people all of my bad incidents or run-ins have been with black cops, not white cops. To the point to where, like I said, I'm in Maryland. I used to work, federal security and stuff downtown DC, and I was on my way to work one day, and I got pulled over, and I had, with the cop called one of the dope boy cars. I had the Dodge Magnum when it first came out.
Ooh.
So I'm driving, the cop pulled me over, black cop, and he was like, "Your car's been reported stolen." And I was like, "By who?" I said, "I'm the only name on the paperwork. Who could have reported my car stolen?" I'm in full uniform. I got my bars on, my badge, everything. So he was like, "It's stolen." So I gave him everything, registration, all the shit. He still pulled me out the car. And now I get out the car. I'm 6'2". He's about 5'7", 5'8". So I'm towering over him somewhat. So he just jumps back and he pulls his gun out on me. I'm in full uniform. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm getting mad, but I don't want to overreact and catch no shot in the ass trying to whoop this cop ass. So I'm stepping back. And the only thing that honestly saved me that day was there was an Asian cop. He called for backup. Asian cop pulled up. The Asian cop asked him what he was doing. Other than that, I mean, he had his gun drawn on me and everything. And I mean, it was so bad. And I just looked at him and I had so much shit I wanted to say. Like, I didn't want to drum that up. And like I said, could it have happened with a white cop? Yes. But all of my bad run-ins have been with black cops and not white cops. I mean, when I got back home, this is before my wife and I were married, but I went back home and I'm talking to her. And I don't know if you remember the scene from Boys in the Hood where Trey went to Nia Long's house. And that was me. I was swinging at the air. I was so heated because I wanted to do something and I really couldn't. So that would be a terrible occurrence for me. So have either of you had anything else that happened to you outside of what we just spoke about?
Oh yeah. I live in West Virginia. And this is crazy. People want to take this the wrong way. So anyone that gets triggered by this and gets upset, please remember that I am originally from Virginia. So I'm from Virginia is a mixed breed of things happening.
Oh yeah.
Because you can be in one spot and there be no racism, and you can go to another spot and it's racist as hell. In West Virginia, the craziest thing is like you said, I've had counter racism. The opposite racism, it should be racism I get from white people that I get from black people of our own kind. When and this is something that really bothers me, and it happened to me in podcasting also. We are all successful in light of what anybody says. The job you do when you're outside of podcasting, that's your job. You make money. That's your prestige. You handle your job. You do what you do. And a lot of work with what I do, I am in the public eye. I deal with lots of people. Obviously, we all know who I work for. And when it comes time to like, it's not that I don't call it the land spree or anything like that. When it's time to try to help somebody step up or go above and beyond, the traumatic thing that happens to me is I get called Uncle Tom. I get called I sold out. I did this or that. And that's even with my podcast. I have people that'll say, well, JR, you sold out. Your podcast is flat. It's not urban enough. It's not this or that. And like that's a traumatic event that happens to me constantly every other day with a different black podcaster or with anyone else that feels that my podcast doesn't sit in a certain area and in life tying into life. Like it'd be instances when I would get promoted in a position or I didn't get promoted and I tried to help somebody else get promoted or just get them on the same level as me. And it'd be inside my own race. These people is like, he's Uncle Tom. He's just trying to move forward and he ain't trying to carry anybody with him. But what I learned as I got more up in business and got more savvy is that it's all right to leave a dotted line, but it's not all right to hold somebody's hand and show them what side to be on that dotted line. So that's the traumatic that stuff that happens has happened to me, and that does constantly happen. Is that our own kind? Uh, it, no one wants to measure success. They just want to just get to the top real fast, and anything they do, be it the job or anything. And if they see somebody that's working and they're the same ethnicity, they just want to put them in a box and just say they're this and just leave them like that.
Absolutely, bro. So here's the thing, man. I've been to federal prison. I have never had an unpleasant experience with a cop, detective, or federal agent. Don't know why. Well, I partially do know why. Won't get into that. You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. You know what I'm saying? So I don't make waves, man. It's like, shit, you got me. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like anything, any quarrels or any issues I have, we'll deal with that on the back end. But I feel like some of the outside of that, like some of the most traumatic experiences that I have had have just been from like kind of similar to what the brother Ringo was saying, from my own people, but not in the sense of our own people, but not in the sense of being a cop, but just being other black males who, for whatever fucking reason, decided that they should fuck with me. You know what I mean? And I know that sometimes maybe it was related to females, sometimes maybe it was just related to indoctrination and mindset or whatever, but it was traumatizing in the sense that a lot of those incidents took me outside of who I was as a person. And what I mean when I say that is I've always been kind of hot-headed. I've always, just felt like, and I had very negative influences in my life growing up. I had uncles and aunts, people who were like, pick something up and knock the hell out of them. And, so I embraced this mindset and this way of doing things. And so, I went through a period of my life where I was very violent. I didn't go out bothering people. I didn't pick fights. But if you brought the shit to me, then there would be blood. So that was very traumatizing to me, man. It was traumatizing to me to have to be put in a situation like that, number one. And then number two, looking at why. Like I did nothing to anyone, I'm minding my business. People want to fuck with me. And now I'm forced into a situation where I have to do things that I don't really want to do. And so anyone who can tell you that they hurt people or had to hurt people and it didn't affect them, that's a candidate for some studies or some shit, man, because they have no conscience, they have no heart, they have no, you understand what I'm saying? Like they're inhumane. Because at my worst state in life, when I did some of the worst shit that I've ever done, man, those are things that I look back on even now and damn near shed tears over. Things I did to people, even to the point of hurting women emotionally. Believe it or not. Like I've teared up just thinking about some of the things. LL said it best. You know what I'm saying? Crying to myself, look what you've done to her. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the whole thing, man. Like everything that traumatizes us doesn't necessarily have to be excessive and over the top. Like some things are, But there are some things that affect us and traumatize us that are just as simple as, I did something, I call it warring against your heart. I warred against my heart on some shit, and I'm having a hard time making peace with that. That's trauma, bro.
I'll ask this then. So do you think like because I will say this, I don't think that your reaction is bad, but do you think that your reaction may seem over the top to either yourself when you reflect on it now or to others because you're sort of doing it to our own people? Because I think that the shock for us, like let's just say the first time that it happened and you really noticed what the hell was going on, you step back and go, I don't believe that this motherfucker that looked like me is what I mean, giving me this much shit. So I think that, I'm asking, do you think that that took you to another level that I know that you didn't want to be at, but it took you to that next level because it was someone that looked like you?
Yeah. It's almost like having a sibling do some shit to you that you expect a nigga in the street to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're going to be more angry than you would be had it been some dude in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, of all people, motherfucker, you know what we've been through. You know what I've been through. You know what this is like. Why in the hell would you even feel like it's okay to do this? You know what I'm saying? So yes, it enraged me a bit more, I'd have to say.
Yeah. But what about you, JR?
Man, see, I'm one of them people, man. I'm petty, so and I'm Petty Murphy. I am the true Richard Petty, and like I don't know, just it getting mad. Thank you.
Yeah.
If it comes from out of my camp, it's worse than it being a stranger. Being a stranger all day, I can look past it. Because like I said, I've had situations arise where people do stuff just to get a reaction out of me, and I ain't wanting people. Sometimes I got a lot of people behind me, and they like, stay calm, don't do nothing. But sometimes I step out that shell and get out of my character, and when I put something out there, I ain't just this riffraff that's gonna say this or that, or I'm not this Twitter or internet thug. I'm gonna look at you full sight and I'm gonna see you for what you are, and I'm gonna put it out there. And when I put it out there, all you can do is come back with something harsh. And when you come back with something harsh, you just eliminate yourself out of the equation by what you say, because like I said, I'm one of them petty people. I just got one petty remark and then I'll walk away from it. Because the one thing I learned as an adult now is that no matter what somebody says to me, if it's not making dollars and cents and it's not affecting the cents and dollars that come inside my home, into my employment, into this podcast that we're doing right now, I could give a damn what you say, what you do, or how you feel. Go on with your life. If you feel that passionate about it, start activism, do something to right the wrongs. Now, if someone comes at me physically, oh yeah, it's a level now, and I don't know how y'all feel about this. If someone harms my family, that's when I'm gonna go to work on you. You can say whatever you want. You can be all this and that, because your words is not gonna hurt. Like I said, they're not gonna influence. They're not gonna move a situation. All it's gonna do is show bad on your character. I learned that now. 15 years ago, oh no, you said something out the way, and you're not nearby. I'm on that plane. I'm on that Greyhound. I'm on that train. You know, I'm on that bus. I'm gonna get there. But now I'm reserved. Nobody can say anything to really get me out of character unless it's something that's real deep to me. Uh, I say this, and these are my triggers. You say something about uh, my deceased wife. You say something about my child. You say something about the lady I'm with now. They gonna get me upset, and I might come out and react to you a certain way, but then I'm gonna back away, because then I gotta look at things like this. And this is the one thing I say now as an adult, that I got this reserve that I can pull back, and I gotta look and it ain't empathy and it's not sympathy at all, because neither one of them two. So let me kill that real fast. I gotta look and see where you coming from. I gotta really look and be like, are you coming with a full deck? And that's like the whole deal with this whole mental process. Sometimes I gotta back away and be like, this person may not be coming with a full deck. This person might have added stress because of something that I done that triggered them. So I will back away from certain things, because I'll be like, man, is it really worth it at the end of the day? is this going to benefit me to harm or hurt this person mentally, physically, financially, whatever? Is it gonna really get me a gain? If it ain't gonna get me no gain or no motive or any type of mention at the end of the day when it's time to pass away, then it's not worth my time.
No, but I mean, I think, and I know my wife always gets on me about this. At times, I tell people, I'm like, sometimes a good ass whooping is therapy. I mean, like I said, I'm not a
Bro,
good person. It takes it takes
facts.
a lot for me to get there. So my wife and my kids know, like for me, and I tell people this, I'm comfortable as hell in my manhood and what works in my house. My wife is the voice and the face out front. But damn, everybody knows if I stand up and you see me over my wife's shoulder, they know it's an issue. It's go
Yeah.
time. Even with my
They
kids.
done fucked up.
Yeah. And now it's just like, oh, now we got to talk him down. Because I'll tell anybody, I have that bottom floor and I have a top floor. That middle floor has never been in my life. And that's what I tell people. Even when shit goes on, or people want to talk on the internet, all that shit, I could just let it go. Because like JR said, you're not putting your hands on me. I'm not worried about none of that shit. Because like I said, I know when I go off, it's not gonna work out in your favor. And then that's just the truth. But at times a good ass whooping is what some people need. And that's therapy enough.
You said it, man. I've often said I'm an extremist. I'm either all the way here or all the way here. There's no in between for me.
None.
So either I'm not reacting at all or I'm overreacting. That's all you get from me. I got two speeds, man. 0 and 100.
You got the on and off switch. That's all it is.
That's it.
In between. Well, the only reason I keep reserving certain things, and y'all can understand this, is as I got older, I realized that we got this thing called tomfoolery. So tomfoolery, fools stay amongst themselves and they breed each other. They got this bubble. They do all this stuff to create a circumstance. Well, none of us are fools. So why am I gonna battle with a fool?
Mhm.
Why am I gonna sink to a level where I got to fight on a level? Like, nah. I may interject something quick and then let it go. And I'll do that all day long with anybody because I ain't gonna just let you. Ain't the one thing that I can't break out of my mentality is that bitch mentality. Ain't nobody gonna play me like I'm no bitch. And that's the only thing that as an adult, I ain't gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go to war and grab a gun and kill somebody or anything crazy like that. But if somebody ran up on me and they talking something and they swing, if I weave and I get out that hit, yeah, you're gonna catch that 33-piece chicken dinner, or you can catch that whole chicken, the 8-piece bucket. But that's only if the circumstance arise like that. I hate to do that to somebody, but that's just how I was raised. And like, it's something about, and I relate this to, I was listening to Uncle Dolomite. He had a show that just came out about talking about all these people being gangster and stuff like that. Man, I'm from Virginia. I'm from rural Virginia. We didn't fight with guns. We fought with our hands.
Mhm.
And the thing is, if you lost that fight, you had what we call a run back.
Yep.
We're gonna run it back up. Now, if you lost twice in a row, you got to go sit the fuck down.
No, sir. No,
Are
sir.
you gonna-
That was
you gonna run
not
it back?
the rules
You
where I
keep
come
going.
from.
You
If listen, if you beat me, every time I see you, you know how the young boys say it's on site. It's
Yeah.
on site until I win one. Now, if I win one, I let it go. But if you can't let it go, we're gonna stay fighting.
So the run back will be forever with you. So I would have hated you in high school because we would have had an anthology going on. You might thump me this week, but I'm gonna be like, I remember that shit from Tuesday. I'm kicking in somebody's locker, coming to find your ass.
No, but I mean, but it's all about knowing yourself and
Yes.
and things. But I tell people, because like for me, this is why I don't go out much, because I don't have time to deal with the bullshit that's out in the streets now. Because like I said, I'm out there. I go to a club, lounge, wherever. I just want to have a cigar. Want to have my drink. I just want to cool out, go to fuck home. But then, like I said, you got other people out there, like JR said, with the tomfoolery that's out there on a whole nother mindset. And I'm just like, JR, you better than me, because if you run up on me, I'll deal with the consequences later. You could have been running up to get an autograph. Don't run up too quick. Need you to jog, call my name, something, tap me on the
Right.
shoulder politely, something. We could do it that way. But if you run up on me, especially if I'm with my wife and kids,
Bro, took the words out of my mouth. If
ooh,
I'm with my lady, oh, you
man,
done.
oh, he was just coming to get an autograph. He should have whistled or something. I was like, you do something so I know that you coming. Because that right there, I didn't seen too much stupid shit happen in the streets, out at clubs, parties, all this nonsense. Somebody run up. Oh, I'll give you a good example. When I was younger, and I'm from Patterson, New Jersey. We used to
Okay.
play basketball all the time. So, after a game, everything we thought everything was cool. Dude shook the other dude's hand. As soon as he grabbed my man hand, he got punched in the face. They whooped his ass. So right there, it's just like I don't know what your intentions are, especially if I don't know you. If I see you in the street, JR, you run up on me, I know it's you, Jay. I know it's you. But if it's some random, I can't. I'm not waiting to find out what you're gonna do.
Bro, I want to share something. It's not really off topic, it's on topic, but it's kind of off topic. I recall, but this popped in my head. I recall, so I recall going to my old neighborhood to this particular spot where they sell wings, and they're probably the best damn wings in the city, but it's in the hood. Some people are like, yeah, man, I don't even know why you be going over there. I'm not going over there. I'm of the mindset, man, I'm not gonna be afraid of my people, man. These my people. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? We good. And it's a grown environment. So it's grown and sexy over here. I've never had an issue, right? So I'm over there one night and I'm eating some wings, me and my lady at the time. And I'm sitting outside. We're on the patio, the patio area. And I'm waiting on, no, I just got my wings. I just started eating. I'm hungry. I've been drinking, got the munchies, the whiskey munchies, right? And so we hear gunshots like the next street over. And so people are like, oh, going inside. People are moving. And I'm just sitting there eating my wings, man. And so they're like, not everybody moved, but most of them moved, right? And so I'm laughing. I'm like, man, those shots coming from over there. Like, we over here, the shots are over there. I'm going to enjoy my wings. And this guy that was standing by, he said, man, that's hood trauma right there. That's hood trauma. And when you think about it, it is, man, because it gets to gunshots can possibly become so normal to someone that we don't even perceive the threat that most people perceive because it's not happening in my direct vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had been drinking, we laughed about it. But that spoke to me, man. That see, and that's what I'm saying when I say that trauma shows itself in a lot of different ways, man. It's not always, I'm gonna go out here and flip over some cars and do some dumb shit. Sometimes it's simply I don't have the good sense to get the fuck out of the way of trouble sometimes.
Yeah. Trauma is a chameleon.
Exactly.
What it is. It has many faces, and and like you said, growing up in certain cities, it's just certain things that and it's bad to say now that you put it like that we've grown accustomed to. And like I said, I'll tell anybody,
Exactly.
I'm not a super gangster, none of that type shit.
Oh, not
But
me by a long shot.
but I tell them, oh, you best believe I'm gonna do what I got to do to make sure I get home.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just saying that to say I didn't grow up around a whole lot of guns and all that type shit. But even like now, I'll hear someone walking down the street, car backfire. People, oh shit, no, there's a car backfiring.
Exactly. Like,
And I just even if I hear gunshots, it's just like, all right, that's not close. It's not
exactly. There you go.
Right,
It's
nearby.
not close. You know how close that shit is, but
not up the
yeah.
street. No, that's like 2 blocks. That's far away. The bigger the sound. Oh, that it sound like an AK. That sound like this. It's different things. And like I said, it sucks that is a type of trauma we become accustomed to, is hearing those gunshots and different things like that. And we've just learned to incorporate it in our everyday life, where the people that are running, we may look at them and laugh at times, but they got the good common sense to run.
Exactly. Bro, like that's the thing. Like I've been in the club and a fight breaks out right next to me and people are getting up, moving their chairs. And I'm just sitting there because of like post-traumatic shit from prison, bro. I'm not a tough guy. Let me clarify that. I'm not a tough guy, man. I'm not. And I've never tried to sell myself as such. But what I will say is I'm not a real scary dude. A lot of shit doesn't scare me. And that's probably to my detriment. You understand what I'm saying?
It definitely can be, because I don't go looking for trouble, but it's just certain, like you said, certain things it doesn't move me. Like, sir, dogs, and growing up in the city, I could walk into somebody, oh, that dog is loose. I ain't worried about that dog. I mean, like I said, might be to my detriment. I'm not thinking I could go up in, what's his name, Jack Hanna, go up there and talk to the animal, no shit like that. But I'm not gonna run either. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Dog, grew up in the city, been around dogs all my life.
Exactly. And that's the thing, bro. How many of you guys have found yourself in a situation where you were actually afraid or nervous, but you refused to show it?
Oh man, all the time. I'll give y'all one real quick. Growing up in Virginia, my family moved, like my father's side of the family moved to Maryland. Like that's where they lived, Prince George County. They was out there, Suitland. They was in Marlow Heights. They was around everywhere, Landover, Baltimore. So being a country kid, you know what I'm saying, a country for the suburbs too, the gunshots that we hear are from hunting. And if it's a domestic and somebody's getting killed, you know that shot, you hear it in the trailer park, you know what it is, you knew how to bounce. You got to wait for something like that. And in the city, when that stuff happened, like you said, hearing gunshots, it was real tight. You kind of got a feel for things. But man, when I went up to Maryland, up in DC and around that area, like I was never afraid of nobody, because I've never had, my heart don't pump no Kool-Aid, as we say in the South. My heart don't pump a bit of Kool-Aid. But it will be certain instances when I turn 18, 19, 20, 21, and we're downtown, Southwest, different places that I necessarily had no business being in. And you would see some stuff, because they always, no matter where you go, they try to test OT out of town. If you're from out of town, I got an accent. My accent sometimes carries, like I'm not even from Virginia. They'd be like, you from fucking bumfuck Egypt. So when you hear it, and the clarity in my voice makes you all like, oh, he an educated brother, so I'm gonna test him. So I will be in positions where people would try to test me, just because I got that vernacular in my voice. You're hearing my voice a little bit clearer than everybody else around. So in them instances, sometimes, be somebody a little bit bigger, and it'd be somebody smaller that got a gun or something that's trying to play tough. And in those type of instances, my heart didn't pump no Kool-Aid, but that blood was boiling a little bit different than what it used to before anything happened. So I've had instances like that, and in those instances, it was always, and I found this out now, the person that was doing that little extra bullying was just scared themselves. So I learned that it's a lot of fear that goes into the other person when they're trying to present violence or something negative. So ever since I learned that, I was like, okay, I can play this calm and cool. I can walk away from this, because there's something underneath all this ogre skin and shit that's bothering that person. I ain't a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. They ain't a friend of mine. So fuck them. Let them go on their business and let somebody else handle that. And that's my toxicity there. I will admit that to everybody. Sometimes some people want to play tough guy, want to do this and that. Man, I'm gonna just look past it. Be tough guy. Do that. If you got to play tough guy past the age of 14, something's wrong. You ain't got to be a tough guy in your 20s, 30s, or your 40s. And definitely if you're in your 50s and you're still a tough guy, you got to be careful. You lived a long time. It's crazy. You see OGs getting popped now. You see OGs getting popped and all this crazy stuff, in this mentality that you got to be hard. I've never understood that, because the hardest person still gets knocked down by the softest hit. And that's true in anything. That's even in boxing, because we didn't see some hits. Some people get some really soft hits. They took hard hits the whole time. Get touch, get love. I call it a love touch. Get a love touch, and hit the ground. So all that tough man stuff, like I've never, no reason to ever have any type of bravado like that. Like, why do all that? Well, them hysterics hysterics and all the stuff that you're doing, at the end of the day, when it's all done, people just sit back and laugh about it, and they just don't say nothing to you. They may be all what you want to say. They may be a little afraid of you and keep that, let you keep that tough guy persona. But after it's all said and done, they walking away like, man, this is a clown. Let's get this dude. Let's put him on Apollo. Let's make some money off of him. You know.
And I would say for me, it like I said, I just want to reiterate this again. Not no super tough guy, but for me, there's been times when I've been scared, like being with my wife and kids, because like I said, I'm either calm or I'm going off. And my fear has always come from, being in instances where somebody want to play tough, and it's just like my kids really gonna see me do this. And because I already know if I'm gonna catch me a charge, protecting myself, protecting my family, I'm gonna go all the way. I'm gonna get my money.
Mhm.
And that's my thing. It's just like fear of the unknown. Because
Sometimes you're afraid of what you're gonna do to them.
yeah. And,
Yes.
and my wife has been around, I've only reacted like that one time. And I mean, it's to the point to where my mother and my wife couldn't even calm me down. That's how mad I was.
Ooh.
And it was just, and they were telling me what they were saying to me. And for the life, I couldn't tell you anything anybody was saying to me. The only thing I remember, and they told me afterwards, they said, we were pulling you back and you were dragging us. That's how mad I was. So like I said, I can't honestly think right offhand of anything where I was scared for myself necessarily, but I was scared for the person and what my kids or my wife and my mother would have seen me do in that instance. Because like I said, for all the people that have never been in a real fight or a street fight or anything like that, there is a real place of where you black out and you really don't know what the fuck is going on. So I mean, I would say that was my instance of being afraid of. And when you, like I said, when I sat back and thought about it, it almost brought me to tears because I'm like, if I'd have got my hands on this person, it would have taken me away from my kids for however long, taking me away from my wife, and I would have, hurt somebody. Like I said, I'm not one. I ain't trying to kill nobody or hurt nobody for nothing stupid. Like I said, protecting my wife and kids, that to me, that's a whole separate conversation. But
Man, if you get that, man, you one of the ones that I'm gonna have to pull the tranquilizer gun out on. Just put you to sleep with some of that ketamine or something. That's the way that sounded.
but that's why I stay to myself, and I can let a lot of shit go. You can talk all the shit you want. You're not close to me, you're not putting your hands on me. I'm cool. But
Yeah.
that's that one place I don't like to be because I totally lose control.
Yeah.
So what about you, Jay? Have you been in a position to where you've been afraid and just refused to show it?
Absolutely, more than once. That's part of the reason why now okay. So